Hey, good neighbor. This is your friend, the Delta Piper, coming to you from deep in the Mississippi Delta. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday, having a restful weekend. It's been raining here. T.S. Eliot, the great poet, in his epic poem, The Wasteland, said, April is the cruelest month. Well, I don't know about all that, but I know it sure has been the wettest month. It has rained here all week long. I got up Monday to do some gardening. I was looking forward to that. I checked the weather, and it was supposed to be pretty all week long. I said there's a slight chance of rain, 20-30% on Thursday. So I had a lot of stuff I wanted to get done outside, and it started raining on me Monday evening, and it has not let up all week long. We've just had a deluge, had a flood, uh, a minor flood here week before last, and it was just starting to dry up, and it has just uh, poured out upon us all week long. So I hope you are enjoying a little bit of dry, warm weather where you're at. But it is a good day nonetheless. I checked the mail, and I was plumb tickled with what came in today. I sent a message to Piper Dave last week and said, I'd like you to send me one of those Team Freedom keychains. And he graciously put one in the mail. So thank you for that. Piper Dave, I'm happy to be identified with people such as yourself and all of those others in the YTPC who are not ashamed to be so called with Team Freedom. And he also stuck this tin of tobacco, Peterson's early morning pipe, in the box with it. This was an unexpected treat. I don't know if you just happened to divine that I like early morning pipe, or that you saw me on another video or something with it. Either way, I appreciate it. It is a blend that I go to with some regularity. Um, Kind of feel odd smoking it any time but the morning since it's kind of written right there on the package. But I sometimes do. I like it quite a bit. So a special thanks to Piper Dave for your kindness and generosity. I suppose I ought to tell you what I'm smoking. I'm smoking out of a Missouri Meerschaum hardwood poker. First time I've smoked out of this little pipe. I gave $8 or $10 for it, very inexpensive, a comfortable little thing. And in it, well, I'll come to that in just a second. A particularly good mail day, not only from Piper Dave, but last week I was looking around on eBay at estate pipes. I do that from time to time. Hadn't really had much luck in the past, but I did this past week. I found a couple of gems, and I was tickled. I mean, a really good deal. They were in good shape, just a couple of minor issues, but I got two LJ Peretti pipes. Ain't those nice? And the only real issue, besides needing to cleaning, is there's some uh, uh, burn here on the rim, some damage, and I'll need to fix that. Now I don't know anything about doing that. Some of you may have experience with it, and if you do, I'd like to know it. Send me an email, maybe post some comments below how to go about fixing that, or it may be above my pay grade. I don't know. I may have to send them off. Um, and it'd be worth it to me. These are pure Americana. These are bits of American history right here. For those of you who may not know, L.J. Peretti Tobacco in Boston. I haven't been there. I'm not from the area. If you haven't noticed, I live pretty far piece from there. Um, but they are the oldest, or at least the second oldest, continual tobacconist in the country, right there in the old part of Boston, and have their own line of pipes and their own lines of tobacco. So I was just plumb tickled to be able to get a couple of Peretti pipes. I've only tried one of their tobaccos in the past. I'd ordered an ounce of the Cuban mixture, and I absolutely loved it. So I bit the bullet. I said, I've got a couple of Peretti pipes now. I need some Peretti tobacco to smoke in them. So I ordered one of their famous little yellow paint cans of Cuban mixture. And you see they were kind enough to make it out to the Delta Piper. And I love this stuff. That's what I'm smoking in this hardwood poker, or at least trying to. I'm beating my gum so much my pipe keeps going out. And my lighter, I bought this lighter 2 days ago, and it's willful. It works when it wants to. Many of y'all have those fancy pipe lighters. I'm just trying to make it work with these gas station Bics. But it's getting the job done for the most part. But anyway, this Cuban mixture is just wonderful to me. It's strong without being overwhelming. It's got a nicotine hit, which I appreciate. And those that have to put up with me like it when I get my nicotine. The room note is very pleasant to me because I like the scent of burning tobacco. Others might find it more on the tolerable end of the spectrum. But if you've not tried the Cuban mixture, you owe it to yourself to get you a bit and give it a go. I also ordered a couple of ounces of two other blends that I wanted to try. This one, it has a very memorable name, D7485. More like a prison serial number than the name of a tobacco blend, but I suppose after making multiplied thousands of blends over 100 some odd years that one gets weary with trying to come up with clever names. But this is an old blend itself. Memory serves, it was originally blended for one of the past British prime ministers, the Honorable Ramsay MacDonald, because he had tried it and it gave some specifications and had it mixed up and tried it. And he wanted something like an English aromatic in a time when in Great Britain you could not make English aromatics. They didn't want aromatics. So he had it made here, especially for him, and shipped over. And I tried it, and tried it earlier, and I'll just be honest with you, it did not make my socks roll up and down. It did not blow my skirt up. It's a lot of people like it. I probably will end up sticking it in a jar and coming back to it in a few months to see if it's grown on me any. But if you act fast and you put it in the comments, let me know you'd like to try some. I'll send you half of the package just because I know I will likely end up not smoking it. It was not my favorite thing. But I also ordered a couple of ounces of L.J. Peretti's Tashkent. Tashkent. I'm not sure if I'm putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable or not, but Tashkent is how I'm saying it. And it's basically just a blend of various Orientals, and it's quite nice. I like it. I like it a lot more than The British Prime Minister's blend over here, he can keep it, as far as I'm concerned. But this Tashkent, I'll be ordering. Probably end up getting me another one of these fancy little yellow tins of the Tashkent. It's mighty fine. Enjoyed that a great deal. So it was a good mail day for me. So despite the rain, it has been a pleasant day. Um, Talking about the rain, I was thinking earlier about my Uncle Dude and Aunt Laura that lived across the field from my house when I was a boy. They had a small farm over yonder. Uncle Dude and Aunt Laura were both born just after the Great War and come of age uh, during the Great Depression. So they were old. Hey, Bones. Hey, Bones. They were old when I was young. Uncle Dude was born at the foot of Mount St. Helen and moved down here sometime in the late 40s, early 50s, and he met my Aunt Laura, was taken with her. And they married and spent the rest of their life down here and farming in the Delta. And I spent a lot of time over there when I was a kid. I say they're precious, precious people, if not just a little peculiar. Uh, Peculiar because of some oddities, superstitions. I should not say superstitions. They were both God-fearing people, but they tended to think that divine providence was a sort of thing that could be nudged hither and yon if you did some certain things, some odd things. For instance, Uncle Dude never would get his hair cut on a full moon because he said a man would go bald doing that. Aunt Laura wouldn't sweep the house on a windy day because she said that's how you dig up the past. And I don't know how many times I've been standing in her kitchen and got a fistful of salt thrown in my face from her chunking it over her shoulder, or how many times she told me that I had to spin around 7 times and spit because I wasn't paying attention to this omen or that omen enough to suit her. I remember one time in particular, she gave me a great swat on the behind and sent me home because I told her I did not believe her declaration that she could tell who was going to die next in the community just from reading the signs in the pan of red eye gravy. Precious but peculiar. But what I remember most is crab apples and copperheads. Come on now, work with me. Crab apple. They had a beautiful crabapple tree just at the edge of the house. And man, there's not much better than crabapple jelly on a fresh hot buttered biscuit. I loved that stuff when I was a kid, love it still. Beautiful crabapple tree. And I remember one day I went over there to visit, and as soon as I got within seeing distance of that tree, I noticed there was 5 or 6 copperheads dangling from it. Now, if you don't know what a copperhead is, down here in our part of the South, they're a mean, nasty, vicious little breed of no shoulders, pit vipers, and they're the kind of snake that you don't even have to fool with to tick them off. They'll come hunting trouble. They just got up in a bad mood all the time. Mean, and I was taught from just a whelp of a boy how to recognize one of them and find myself a stick and render it permanently unconscious because they're so mean and put a lot of people in the hospital and make a grown man wish he was dead if he'd got bit. So I saw these copperheads hanging from the crabapple tree, and I gave it a wide berth and ran into the house. And I remember tugging on Uncle Dude's breeches legs, said, "Uncle Dude, there's snakes hanging in the tree." "Yeah, I know. I put them there. Why in the world would you hang snakes in the crabapple tree?" And he said, "So the Lord will make it rain." And I said, "That ain't going to make it rain." And I remember Aunt Laura, she just turned and looked at me with a puzzled look on her face. She wasn't really angry so much as, I think, curious about what my method would be. She said, "Well, how do you make it rain?" And I confess that's a question I had not pondered too much. I had not studied on how to make it rain. And she sent me on back to the house and said, "I guarantee you it'll make it rain. The Lord will make it rain if for no other reason than to wash all the meanness off those snakes." So I headed back to the house, like I say, giving a wide berth to the crabapple tree, because not only did I not want to be struck by a living copperhead, I did not have much interest in being struck by one hanging from a limb. I got back to my grandmother and granddaddy's house with whom I lived and told them that Uncle Dude had put snakes in the tree. Well, what did he do that for? He said the Lord would make it rain, and it's going to rain sure as the world because he hung those snakes in the tree. My grandpa, he got tickled and he laughed. He said, "Well, I reckon I ought to go put my boat back in the shop. I won't go fishing tomorrow, I suppose." And he didn't. And he didn't fish for the next 7 days because it rained every single one of them. So if Uncle Dude and Aunt Laura are looking down from heaven, I reckon. So if Uncle Dude and Aunt Laura are looking down from heaven, I reckon I ought to go and check the trees on my property and see if there ain't a mess of copperheads hanging from them to account for all this rain. Well, I've kept y'all long enough. I hope y'all have a good rest of your weekend, what's left of it. This is the Delta Piper reminding you to keep those bowls warm.